Ask.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Didn't Ask. You may notice that the title of today's podcast is actually a little bit different to what it's been previously, if you are a previous listener, and if you are, thank you for coming back. It used to be called Didn't Ask with Lewis Clark Claire, but now it's in fact called Didn't Ask with Paige 3. Paige has become a little bit more of a work thing for me now, so I'm just trying to join in the work with the pleasure, and I think that it's probably best for me to go down the page 3 route with the podcast. So I hope you're all okay with that. If you're not, then you know where the exit button is. But I'm gonna get into today's podcast. So now that I have done the elephant in the room, let's go to the other incredible elephant in the room. My gorgeous guest for today is my absolute shining diva from Ireland, who is someone I've got lovely and close to, and someone I've gained a gorgeous friendship with over the last months. I've got gorgeous Lleddir Werdner with me. Hello, Lleddir.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you
How are you
doing? I'm
doing?
good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing good.
So Lleddir is part of my drag family, and a London queen, and we've kind of, gained a friendship over the last year, haven't we, doll?
Yeah, we have. It's kind of blossomed since I was first introduced to you via Miss Bones.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what a gorgeous group of friends we have got now. I feel very lucky for that.
Yeah,
Um,
super blessed.
so Lleddir comes from a different side of the drag world from me. Don't you? Kind of.
Y- Yeah, I think it's quite different.
Actually, before we get on to this, I'd see this is me wanting to dive straight in. I do have to just mention that if at any point during today's podcast, I will totally try and I'm going to do it right now. There you go. I told you. It always comes on cue. Whenever I feel like I'm going to tell someone that I'm going to cough, I actually do cough, and it sounds like it's fake, but it is real. If I cough at any point during today's podcast and it's something I can't edit out, I can only apologise because Miss Coco has got me. The COVID's got me, gal, and it's actually got Lydia too.
Yeah, it has.
But you,
Finally, it's got me.
but you're okay, no?
Yeah, no, I think the worst of it's over, so I'm just a bit sniffly and coldy.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I had like 3 days of being quite bad. Miss Omicron, I think, is where I've got it because it's kind of very fluey, and now I've just got a cold. But just to mention, we did in fact see, and obviously we spoke about on the group chat earlier, that the 7 days isolation thing has come about, where if you test negative after 7 days of isolation, you can come out of the cubby hole.
Hmm.
I'm at 7 days isolation, and
Some
I
days is too long, but
and guess who is not testing negative? Me. I'm
oh,
definitely still testing positive, and
oh
it's and
no.
it's strong too.
Gosh, two rogue red lines.
Like I did the old test, and they're black, and they were like black line. They're like they are like there is absolutely no denying that I am heavily infected with COVID-19.
Heavily. She's got a bad case of the
But
COVID-19.
that's what I'm like though, babe. When I do something, I do it full out. Do you know what I mean? So
Listen,
who said COVID
100%
was going
balls
to
to
be
the
anything
wall.
different? Anyway, so yeah, I do apologise if I cough during this podcast, everybody. So, moving back into what I was saying, Lleddir comes from a different drag place than I come from. Give us a little bit of a lowdown of who you are, what you do, what your tea is.
So, well, my drag name is Lleddir Werdner, which is a very silly drag name. And I kind of stumbled into the drag scene through nightlife and through clubs and going out. And it kind of started very much as like queer, gender bandy club kid that then kind of would get a taste of something more, like would get a lip on one time, then would get a lash on, and then finally graduated to the heels and the wig. And it like was about, I'd say, like 6 to 9 months of me being a club kid before I took the plunge to be a, like to do full drag.
Right.
So yeah. And
Right. Sorry about
go
that,
with that.
everybody. I did have a tiny bit of a little technical difficulty. I haven't done this in a little while, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. My computer was picking up Lydia, but you don't need to hear the technical sides of this conversation, so we're going to move on swiftly. going back to Lleddir, she was saying that you were on the kind of the club kids scene and the nightlife scene of being of drag, and that's how you got into it.
Yes.
Which is super interesting because obviously that's not how I got into it whatsoever. I feel like
Yes.
obviously I've definitely experienced more of the nightlife scene as of recently, just from being out with the gals and also from working in the
Mhm.
nightlife scene, which is really nice and actually really good for me. Really, really,
Yeah.
really good for me because I've not been somebody that's gone out much. But I find it interesting that that's where you have derived from.
Yeah. Yeah, because you came, like, obviously performance background and then through Kinky Boots. Isn't
hmm
that how it happened?
exactly. So I dabbled in makeup. Um, I dabbled in makeup for I've done that for a long time. I'd started doing that probably when was in my first year of college, and I've got the photos that I could show you at some point that are absolutely abysmal, like you wouldn't believe. But my best friends, my best friend Jazz, she is like a makeup artist, and my other best friend Daisy used to do makeup professionally as well. No, she's also a performer. So I was just surrounded by makeup constantly. So I always wanted to kind of dabble in it. So I did bits and bobs in my room, and I used to do my friends' makeup for like when we would go out on a night out and stuff like that. I'd always be doing their makeup.
Oh my God,
But
I love that.
I know it was cool, really, and that's how I got into it. But I didn't actually, excuse me, I didn't actually do drag until I was in Kinky Boots, and then once I did that and that finished, I realised I was so not done with it, and
Yeah.
it's something that I had kind of discovered in myself that felt so correct
Hmm.
that I ended up going on a self-discovery path of seeing how I can make it work in the real world.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So mine comes from more of a performance background, but it's like it's interesting because obviously the actual drag industry to just as a comment because I feel like we're going straight into it, guys. Today's topic is nightlife. Because I'm new to it. Lydia has a lot of experience with it, so I think it's a good topic for us to debate.
Mhm.
Just as a disclaimer. But it's interesting because the drag industry really does evolve around the nightlife scene and the queer nights.
Yeah, I think it's slowly moving away from that,
Mhm.
and into a lot more like sit down performance shows. Like I've never, like personally, never seen as many sit down shows
Mm.
in London,
Mm.
like that solely revolve around just drag queens,
Right.
than there have been since the pandemic. Like whenever I first started, there were a few, but it was a lot of like queens started in that life, and that's like you would go out to a club and you kind of get all dressed up, and there were a ton of club kids. There were more club kids than actual drag queens,
Really.
or at least who I knew and in my kind of circle. And I think there's been a shift, and I don't know whether that's through the pandemic or if it's because of kind of drag race and more people are looking towards UK drag race and then kind of tailoring their drag more so to be kind of aligned with that
Mhm.
than kind of the original, like my original way of getting dressed up, going out, having a dance, and meeting people that way, and kind
Right.
of being really with your queer community and family.
Sure. 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 And I think also when it's for some people obviously it's a thing on the side, but for some it is a career. I think when it's your career and that's what your sole income is, naturally, if it's changing because of COVID or because the opportunity to get more work in is through having a sit down show or something like that, people may be changing their creative outlet, whether it was them being a club kid or into a more traditional drag, because that's where the money is right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like unfortunately. I mean, what would you say for people who don't know what a club kid is? Can you explain what that is?
So a club kid is it's like a form of drag
Hmm.
where it's very gender fluid and it's more I want to say performance art based because it really is, but it's never kind of given that title because it's always done in nightlife and it's always done in kind of these basement
Yeah,
clubs
yeah, yeah.
or grotty dive bars. But it is performance art where it's like someone will come dressed as like, I don't know, a thundercloud one night and they do themselves up all like this
Which is so
or a
sick.
muffin. Yeah,
That is
it's like
sick, though.
it's the most creative and freeing thing because there's no parameters.
Well,
It's
I was
not
just gonna
like
say that it's like not shitting on drag at all because hey, that's what I do and that's what you do. And I don't know
yeah,
actually. Your Instagram, you've got guys, you've excuse me, got to go on Lleddir's Instagram because I feel like you are a drag queen, but your approach towards your drag, maybe not so much as of recently, but if you go back, is so elaborate and artsy, which is it honestly inspiring to me because it's just I look at your posts and I don't think, of course I think, oh gorgeous, but that's not the first thing that comes to my head. The first thing that comes to my head is art, you know,
yeah.
concept art, things that I wouldn't even think of. That's what I think of when I
Mhm.
look at your drag. So I guess that you have pulled that from the kind of club kid scene. So how would you consider yourself now?
I think I don't know. I suppose now I would say I'm a, just do like straight up just drag queen, where it's kind of a bit of female
Drag queen
impersonation.
with a brand.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think because in like whenever I first started, it was how elaborate the looks could be, and you would
Mm,
go out and you'd be out for maybe like 4 or 5 hours on a night out, and you wouldn't like. I first started being like a nightclub host,
yeah.
and you wouldn't have to do a huge amount. Like as long as you turned up looking amazing and made sure everyone was having a good time, like you didn't have to do a huge amount. And by the end of the night, everyone looked a mess.
Right.
Like everyone looked
Right.
like the
Which is kind of a
costumes
good
were
thing. It means they've had a good night.
yeah, like the costumes were falling apart, the mugs were not on. You were doing well if your lashes stayed on. And it was messy and it was really irreverent. Whereas now,
How pretty can you
I
stay
think,
for the evening?
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's been a huge shift in that. And also, like, some of, like, you know this, whenever you do, like, a brunch and
Hmm.
then you've got an evening show, and then the majority of the time you're going out after that, it has to be durable. Like, you have to be
It does.
in
I mean,
drag.
like, if we're doing three numbers and, you know what I'm like, I'm whacking my hair about. It's like, I'm I can't be I couldn't come in looking like a storm cloud. I would love to. One, I don't think the audience. I also, this is another thing. Sorry, I'm going on 65 different tangents, but because all these things keep coming to me. Let's say I was to walk into drag brunch on a Sunday looking like a storm cloud. Okay,
Mhm.
incredible. But we also have to look at right now with Drag Race, these businesses are. There are not many clubs, bars in London or Soho, central Soho right now, that don't have a drag brunch or don't have a drag night. Because, of course, they see that the money is there, they can make some money off of it, and they can bring some punters in because everybody loves RuPaul's Drag Race, and
Mhm.
naturally they've just got a drag show. So, but those people who are coming in are Drag Race fans who expect to see something resemblant to a Drag Race girl,
Oh, 100%.
right?
They want soft painting woman.
Yeah, they
They
want to
don't,
see woman, yeah.
they don't want to see me painted blue with a ton of like rhinestones
I do.
all
I mean,
up at my
I
face.
definitely do. Like,
But then I also think this is the thing because whenever I first started drag, it was by no means was it underground, but it was definitely for a queer audience, and queer people got it. They got like the club kid stuff, whereas now, some of the brunches like that I have done, there's like maybe three gay people there, three queer people. The rest, it's a straight audience, which I mean is great. They get their lives, and because they're getting their life, I'm having the best time.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily get it.
No.
Like they get Drag Race, they don't necessarily get the like kind of queer experience of this is gender performance and this is like an art form.
Right. I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree
Yeah.
with that. We sometimes refer to those as the Huns, and
As the Huns.
sometimes sometimes the Huns arrive, and that's great. Like we love the Huns. Like we want them to have a good time, and it's we're not claiming an area and being like this is our area. They can't be there.
Hmm.
That's not what it is whatsoever. But sometimes, and we have noticed this on a night performance when people have been out for the day and they've been to their brunches and they've had a few drinks and da 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 da,
Hmm.
and then we're at the night performance, and then Susie doesn't want to sit down. And they don't kind of, then it removes itself from being kind of a respectful performance to us having a jolly, but that's our work. So it's like, you know, sit down, have a drink, enjoy the performance, talk to us afterwards or something like that. But right now, we're performing, and I feel like if it were on a queer night or a club night, there's that kind of element of understanding more,
Hmm.
and therefore respect for the performers. No?
Hmm. 100%.
And I think that is something that actually doesn't necessarily get talked about. Is talked about is just a given. Like on
Yeah.
a queer night, you don't have to like tell people to like sit down. They're just gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I want to watch this queen perform to the
Right.
best of their ability.
Right. Whereas, sometimes, as I said, when people have been out for the day and they just find themselves in a club and we're just the entertainment, which is
Yeah.
fine too, which is fine too, of course, and we are there to provide entertainment. But at the same time, you know, I've
Yeah.
planned this look for a week and styled my hair for 2 days and did my makeup for 3 hours, and I kind of want you to sit down.
Or at least like for 3 minutes. You know, maybe
Three
six if it's
minutes.
a long mix. But like, come on. My favorite thing is though whenever somebody's had a couple of drinks and then they're like, do you know what? It's my time to perform as well, and I'm gonna get up on the stage at the same time. And like
Yes.
I'm not a lip syncer,
Hmm.
so I'm just there sat being like, can they get down? Like I can't imagine how infuriating it is to be the person on stage at that point in time. And they come in and they're trying to give it a wee bit of choreo and a wee bit of a lip sync, and you're just like, get out of the
And
way.
they're oblivious that everyone is thinking, sit down.
You've had a couple of drinks.
Yeah, you.
Let's you're not as fierce as you think you are, but I mean we love the confidence.
Sit down, Susie, because I'm doing a performance.
Yeah, because I've had it whenever I'm on the mic and people start to like walk about the place. And like, other than I have the mic and I'm like, right, where are we going? Are you not going to see the next
Let's
act? Like,
actually
what's
talk about
happening?
Miss Lleddir on the mic. Yes. So Lleddir does comparing. Like how I know you through what you're doing at the moment is on the Instagram, being at the girls' shows or hosting the girls' shows and comparing. In my head, you are so famous for it, and but I need more people to know about this. Where does your head go to when you are watching one of the gals perform and you come out with these stringed sentences that are just iconic? You create iconic sentences with the snap of a finger.
I think it's like most of my kind of drag experience. It all happens by mistake or me not realizing. So at the start, it would be I'd go to a brunch. I'd either be hosting a table at the brunch or I'd be Bones' guest at brunch. And I'd get too turned because this like started during like just after a lockdown.
Right.
And I was there for a good time because I either wasn't working or I was just out of lockdown. I'd have a couple of drinks and a girl is performing and I'm videoing and I'm just living my best life. And in my head, you can't hear me in them. Like it isn't until I started getting messages from people being like, "Oh my goodness, I'm dying at your voiceover," and I'm like, "What do you mean voiceover?"
She goes and listens to it back and she realises she's given a running commentary.
Yeah. So now it's become a conscious thing, and I do think a bit more about
Of
it.
course.
But it very much started that I wasn't aware it was happening, and I was just cheering on my good duties.
It's just, guy, have you got any highlights on your Instagram of you
I
recording
don't.
people? You should do that.
Maybe I'll do that.
You
I'll
like when
put a wee
you've
highlight.
got to, babe, put a highlight up and with all the girls performing and your commentary in the background because they should be written in stone.
I'm not sure about
I'm
that.
like a raven. No, no. What was the one about Bones? My favorite queen on my favorite day. She's like a raven, all in black.
um,
And the one you did about me when I was performing at Pleasure Gardens kills me off. You're like, look at her doing all this. I can't even touch me toes.
but it's true. I think it comes from the fact that I love drag and
Yeah.
I have such admiration for a queen getting up there and performing and you kill it. And I'm just sat there being like, I'm having a drink watching this. Do you know what? I can't do that. What the fuck?
It's just so funny. It is absolutely iconic, and that is
Oh,
what
thank you.
that's what I think of when I think of you. And obviously I've introduced your commentary to my friends because I've been like, guys, you have to listen to this. And I think you're onto something here, girl. I think this is career making, honestly. I feel like you could make something out of it. Like, I'm so glad we've got you on the who else is here? No one else is here. Me and my full team have got you on the podcast today. Thank you for my manager for booking
Yeah.
Lleddir Werdner today. No, just myself. I'm so glad I've got you to come on today because you are perfect for a podcast. Girl, the day that we get the Lleddir Werdner podcast is the day that we all rejoice and clap our hands because, let me tell you,
That is so funny.
it's iconic. Sorry, now I've gone off on an absolute tangent, and all I've done is absolutely lick Lleddir's ass for the last 10 minutes, but which I'm sure you enjoyed. I'm sure.
I'm blushing. I am blushing.
Let's go back to Nightlife for a little bit.
Okay.
So we did touch on really, really quickly Nightlife now and before COVID.
Mhm.
Do you feel that in general it's very different? Do you feel that things have died out? Do you think that there is no space for things what it used to be like anymore? What do you think on that?
Ooh, I think a lot of places actually have died out,
Mhm.
or they've kind of rebranded and come back in a very different form. And I think, God bless, hopefully, if we don't have another lockdown, I actually think there's a huge opportunity for new queer nights to
Yeah.
kind of come in
Yeah.
and fill those spaces. Because it's kind of become a bit more segregated, I feel, in the nightlife, where it used to all be a big melting pot,
Yeah.
where you'd kind of get the muscle queens, tons of drag queens, queer people, queer women,
Uh-huh.
all in kind of coming together in these like one space in these amazing nights.
Yeah.
It's kind of become very segregated, and I think there's a few places that are trying to like bridge the gap, but I think we need more.
Absolutely. And I'm just hoping that unfortunately the nature, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because as I just said, guys, Lleddir is the nightlife expert here. I'm not. I was training and then did musical theatre. I'm the type of person that if I have a drink, like a glass of wine, I can't sing the next day. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can't. My voice is gone. So when
Mm-hmm.
it was like I was in a show, I just was not going out. So actually, I'm not very experienced with the whole nightlife thing. But so correct me if I'm wrong. But most of these queer big nights naturally, unfortunately, are massive people.
Hmm.
So it's like we're all, in a warehouse or in a, you know, club that's quite squeezed together, lots of
Yeah.
people. So COVID wise
Hmm.
isn't the most ideal scenario,
Hmm.
which is why I think it's probably not happening as much now, obviously,
Hmm.
which is a shame because they're so fun. It's so
Yeah.
much fun.
Really special. And I think it's also like such, especially whenever there's this queer space that has all like everyone in it.
Mm,
It's so special for the newcomers to come to and be like, oh, I can see myself here because I see people like myself here already.
100%, 100%.
Where if you have like really segregated nights, which is really amazing and special as well, but like, say you get someone who's just moved to London,
Yeah,
exploring their queer identity, they go to somewhere, they might get intimidated or scared if they walk in, full beat, a pair of high heels, and all they see is mask for mask, men all in harnesses, raving out to like deep house music.
yeah,
And then they'll be like, oh, I don't fit in here, maybe I
sure.
don't fit in the queer scene. When in actual fact, it's like you definitely do, and these spaces need to be protected for that reason.
I absolutely. I was recently in Paris and
Hmm.
I went to, actually, I discussed this with you, didn't I? Went to and anyone listening, if you're going to Paris anytime soon, every Friday, Lolita's at this place called Maxim's, which I believe is I think it's an old hotel. Or like yeah, it's very posh, like very gorgeous venue, but they deck it out completely, no lights on but red lights in all the
Stunning.
hallways, and it just looks so decadent and automatically queer because you just feel.
Hmm.
But babe, I walked in and I was with my best friend Daisy, and Daisy, we had the best night. One, I was so happy for her because she's obviously not, she's not queer, so
Hmm.
she's as queer as that you can get, though, girl, because she's my best friend. You know what I mean? But she's not actually queer herself. Um, was so happy that she was able to experience this night because it was able to have such a good night because it's so welcoming,
Hmm.
so freeing. Everyone there is there to have a good night, and you're walking through the halls and you just had every single type of queer person you can possibly imagine, and it was so lovely.
Yeah.
Like just trans icons were walking through the halls, like absolutely stunning trans girls, and like incredible Parisian drag queens, which are doing a different kind of drag that I've not been around,
Hmm.
and club kids, and just gays want to be there to have a good time. The gals just want to be there to have a good time. And it was so, so special. So Lolita's Maxims, it's on every Friday, I think from 11 till 6 in the morning. And we did leave at 6.
Stunning.
We didn't know though. We had absolutely no idea. Girl, we were checking out the hotel at 11 o'clock that morning.
Oh
And we
gosh.
looked at that. We were having such a good time. We looked at the clock. It was like 5:45, and we were like, we should go.
That's when you're having a good time.
Yeah, we had no idea. And Daisy only recently before that had actually said, "Oh God, like I don't know how you can get through a night like that. Like, I don't know how."
Mm.
And then experienced for herself that she had no idea what time it was. And I was like, "That's how you get through a night like that because you're with good people in an
Yeah.
incredible environment."
Yeah. Not to sound like gushy or anything, but like I get that like that is the magic of nightlife for me.
Yeah.
Whenever it's a good night with good people, it is magical because you have no concept of time and you're just having the best time and you don't want
hmm
it to end.
And it does need to be protected for sure
Hmm.
because I just feel like it's not like as I said earlier, with like even our performances, it's not like this is ours, you can't be here at all. But keeping something fundamentally queer and run by queer people and, um, you know, celebrating what it means to be LGBTQIA plus queer is
Hmm.
so special. And that
Hmm.
that does need to be protected because there's nothing like it.
Yeah, especially queer venues and queer nights run by queer people who will look after queer performers.
Yes.
Because it's whenever you go to a traditionally straight venue
That
and
puts a
it's
queer
run by
night on.
straight people
Yeah.
that bring in that it starts to get a bit like, oh, I'm just being wheeled out here to make you a ton of money and me some money, and I'm going to be worked like a dog and treated like crap.
Yeah. There's two sides to that like is unfortunately so for where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
there are no gay bars
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Yeah.
So we have I think it's like every 3 weeks, you know, Glitter Bomb,
Yes.
the brand, they put a queer night on at this place called Rubik's, which is Surrey University's local nightclub. And I know that sounds
Mm-hmm.
rotten, but it turns into quite a cool queer night. And like for the drag queens that are around here, like it provides us with some work locally. But so I like it in that respect that I guess that is run by someone queer and it's a traditionally straight
Yeah.
club or surrounding, but that they bring in a queer night because that's
Mm-hmm.
necessary. Because I do think like it's incredible when you can have all these different options in London to go to all these different queer nights and things.
Oh
But
yeah.
for people that are in smaller towns or outside of London or traditionally not queer places, how difficult to because let's be honest, girl. I don't know about you, but you know, say I go out like I've got my girlfriends from school here who aren't queer, and if one of them has a birthday or something, I go on one of their nights out, um and when I say girls I mean like cis women, um going out with them for their birthdays and stuff, and of course I'm going to do that, but do
Mm-hmm.
I feel comfortable when I'm there? No, I actually don't.
Oh, don't even know.
you know I could be dressed as inverted commas boring, or as oh my god, don't want to say that, straight looking, or like
Mm-hmm.
whatever is gender conforming
Yeah.
as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and I still will not feel comfortable.
Oh, tea. I mean, yeah. I mean, I was talking there from an incredibly privileged position of having now lived in London for a long time.
Yeah,
But like growing up in Ireland, there were no gay clubs near
I
me,
was going to
and
ask that.
there wasn't something that I could be like, oh yeah, can we drive like an hour's drive to go to this one gay club? Because everyone would just be like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Right,
Am I
right.
allowed to swear on this?
Of course
Sorry.
you can swear. My God, don't worry. It's got explicit on the label.
Oh, okay,
We're all
good.
good.
But yeah, people would just look at you and be like, "We're not doing that. We're not driving an hour to go to a gay club." And also, why would you want to go there? Do you know what? Like, they'd just be like, "Right."
Right, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, no. And like going home, whenever I do go home,
Mhm.
to then go on nights out with like my friends from home.
Mhm.
Similar, I will literally dress like a completely different person
Yep.
just because I want an easy life.
That's
Do you know
shit
what
though,
I
isn't
mean?
it? That's not okay. I do
It's
the
not
same.
okay. Yeah, it's not because I'm not proud of who I am, but
No,
it's just because I just want to catch up with my friends and have an easy life, you know?
and because the risk you run if you to go like that is that somebody's going to say something, or you're going to be afraid of being looked at the whole night, or just naturally, for me, I get paranoid. I'm like,
Yeah,
everyone's looking at me, and they're not, or maybe they
yeah,
are, but let them. But at the same
yeah.
time, it kind of exhausting all night.
It's really exhausting, and it also then puts my friends in a strange position because God bless them, they're the best, and
Yeah.
they're really protective, and they'd be like, they're looking at you, and they'd love to get in a fight over the whole thing, but I'm just like, Jesus, let's just, chill, because like you walk into a street bar and like they clock you immediately.
Yeah, immediately. I mean, and I would hope that they would too. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, you've got it right, guys.
Yeah.
The Queen has walked into the room. But oh my god, excuse me, hang on.
Oh,
Je
bless
suis
you.
retourné. I don't think that's right. Sorry of any French listeners. yeah, I would hope that they would clock me, but it is exhausting. I can't be bothered to think of that all night. So, and that's kind of where I was heading with the whole Lolitas at Maxim's, when I was able to take Daisy on this traditional queer night in a country where we're both experiencing it for the first time.
Mhm.
And it was so, so special. Um, because, I just don't like going on straight nights out. I just don't. And it's not judging at all. Why would I judge? Like, I've been judged my whole life. Like, why would I judge? But at the same
Yeah,
time, it's like it's just an uncomfortable scenario.
yeah. It's yeah, uncomfortable is the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can still don't get me wrong. I've had some of the best nights of my life in street venues, but it's just nowhere near as comfortable.
No.
You're never at ease.
No. And you're not being yourself.
No, well, I think yeah, that's
And I
basically
think,
it.
when we've fought like so hard over a long period of time to be ourselves, it's like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm not gonna wind back the clock and do this again.
yeah,
You know? So if I'm not feeling like I can just be whatever and do whatever somewhere, I'm just not gonna.
yeah. If I don't feel like I can have a couple of drinks, Brittany comes on and I can give them a performance on the dance floor with my good Judies. Do you know?
Do you really, I mean, you know me well now, do you really think that if I'm in a club and Britney Spears comes on, that I am not going to give you a 1-2 step? Like, like, I'll probably be like, everybody sit down because what you've got here is a performance.
Oh, and she will give you the performance.
I will give it to you, girl. But
She
if
will
I'm,
gag the audience.
what, you can't imagine me in a straight, I'm in Casino from where I am, and Toxic comes on, and you expect me to sit still.
No.
No, my toes are wiggling, gal. I'm, I'm ready to go.
She's in the seat, the shoulders are
The
going.
adrenaline starts pumping. I've got the shakes. The mascara starts pumping from within, and the lashes get longer. My eyebrows
Suddenly,
lift, and suddenly I've got a full face on, and it comes from the pores and of the backed up makeup that I've got from the 100 gigs this year. Um,
100%.
yeah. No, okay. Well, there you go. So queer nights it is for us.
Yeah, we'll stick with our gorgeous queer nights and protect them and just have a lovely time.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do you think, is there anything or ideas that you've got that you think we're missing currently and that we would be good to have?
Ooh, um, do you know what I'd love
Yeah.
to bring back? Whenever I first started, there were like a few monthly nights that we kind of have maybe one or two at the moment, but bring more of them back. Where it was like an event where loads of queer people would plan their looks, especially for
Kind of like
these,
outhouse.
yeah, kind of like outhouse, but where it's like you get dressed up.
Right.
You get dressed up to the nines and you go and you parade and you show it off
I
and
mean,
you
girl,
have
that's fierce. Imagine us girls all getting ready together and going to some like fierce event. Like, I love that.
yeah, and it feels really special because it's once a month and you kind of just don't care. You're like, I'm going to look amazing
Mhm.
and I'm going to spend a month creating this one look and it's going to be worth it.
Oh, yeah, I'd love that. Surely that can happen. I mean,
Yeah, I
once a
think
month.
so. I think yeah, I think like Outhouse is trying to bring it back, but it's just getting more of a hype around it and a buzz where it's like people take the looks seriously.
Sure. Sure, sure,
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Rather
Because I
than
remember
it being
just
which
another club night.
which of course is like understandable at the moment because people
Mhm.
are like, I am stressed and I just want to let my hair down for five
Yeah, and we
hours
need that.
Absolutely, we do. But then I feel like if there is multiple options for that, then
Mhm.
you're more likely to have people's planning outfits and taking time to think about them because it's not their one night to just let their hair down, that they don't want to be stressing about how they look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because whenever I first started, it was Think the Pink really had that where it was kind of, and this was before it was in like Troxy and it started in Bethnal Greenman's Working Club, and it was like you would plan your looks, you would spend the whole month sewing just to get this one look out, and
Mhm.
and we'd all get together somebody's flat and spend about like we block out the whole day. You would start getting ready at like lunchtime, get the bottle
Oh,
of Prosecco open,
so good.
and there'd be like six of
It's
us
like Pride
just,
every month.
yeah, exactly. It was like Pride every month.
Aw.
And you'd wear like gowns and
I've
things
only
like
been to
that.
Sink the Pink once,
I think it's a very different
like
event
2 years ago.
now. But again, I haven't been in quite a while. But I think it's a very different event now. But I think it's still amazing and still gives
So what
some
have we
form of
got as far
this.
as queer nights? You've got Outhouse, Sink the Pink, Little Gay Brother, Feel It. Um,
There's Cookie Jar.
oh, I've not heard
Um,
of that. Oh, hang on. That's I actually want to. I want to tap in on this. You used to go to the club nights like Dollar Baby and things like that, didn't you?
yes, yeah. I worked at Dollar Baby for
Tell me,
two
tell me.
years.
That was
Yeah.
Jodie's night, right?
Yes, it was Jodie's night. It was in Metropolis, and it was very club
Metropolis.
kid
Was
heavy.
that like a? Was it like a club that you queued outside and then it had like a staircase in the middle, a circular
Yes.
staircase? I've been once to Dollar
Oh.
Baby. Yeah.
Oh.
That was my first drag performance night.
Uh-huh.
I went out afterwards to Dollar Baby and
Stunning.
I met Jodie for the first time then and looked awful. I had a
I'm sure you didn't.
mm, I'll show you later. You can make that
Okay.
decision for yourself. But
I
I
mean,
I had like this like pink. I don't wear pink hair anymore. I had a I had. Do you know what? Actually, I might be wearing pink hair for a performance soon, but because Doja Cat did it, and it just looked so good. But I'm not Doja Cat, so you know.
I think you can turn it.
It was like a shaggy shoulder length pink moment. Yeah, and I've got a video of me in the car on the way, and I just thought,
She was feeling
you're
us.
everything, girl.
That that is the best feeling in the world. There's no feeling like when you first kind of start to get into drag and no matter how you look, no one can tell you anything because you think you are absolutely Miss
And then I
Thing.
arrived there, and I saw so many people that I knew, but nobody knew it was me, and I loved that. I
Oh
loved
yeah,
that. And do you know Spank?
yes.
I met Spank that night,
Oh wow.
and Spank was wearing nothing really. She had this little silver thing that literally covered the nipple and covered the
Hmm.
downstairs area, and I just thought the confidence. It was
Yeah,
so cool to see that. And then I went upstairs to like the toilets, and there was like all the booths that are upstairs, and
yeah.
just like all these different queer people. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. But yeah, I only got to go once.
Oh, I lived at that place.
Why
I
did
think
it
I did.
stop?
It just kind of ran its course. I think it was going for maybe 3 years, 3.5 years.
Right.
And it just kind of started to fizzle out because it was every Friday.
Uh huh.
And I think people just started
Oh,
to kind
every
of
Friday. Okay,
every Friday.
that's a
And
lot.
me
Yeah.
and me and Bones worked there every Friday for nearly 2 years solid.
Mhm.
And I think we probably missed in total maybe 5 Friday nights over the 2 years.
Bloody hell.
Like, but we lived for it. We literally, we lived for it.
5 over the 2 years. But
Yeah.
there's 56 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
You went
We
to
went a lot.
107 night.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I have like an album saved of photos, like of just the Dollar Baby photos,
Yeah.
like the club photos, and it's lengthy. And it's from whenever I first started drag
I
too.
love it. And what were you doing then? You were doing drag as far as you
It,
wigged up and.
no, I started doing Club Kid there, and then as soon as I then got the wig on, then I got booked there. Jodie was like, "Oh, you finally put a wig on. Do you want to come host?"
Right. Okay.
And I was like, "Are you telling me all I had to do was put a wig on?"
I love it though. Do you know what? Jodie used to message me not as a queen because I wasn't really a queen back then, but as a boy
Hmm.
to host.
Really?
Yeah, and I never could because I always had a Saturday
Mm.
matinee,
Yeah.
so I could never do it.
Oh
Um,
goodness.
But yeah, I do
Imagine.
sometimes think that like how my life may have been, there's absolutely no regret whatsoever, but I do just think how it may have been different if I wasn't in a scenario where I literally couldn't go because of work. If I had been on the club scene, I think I would be
Yeah.
really different actually.
Yeah, probably.
I think I would
Yeah,
because I'm quite.
definitely.
I'm letting my. No one saw that. No one saw that. I'm quite like. How do I explain that face that I pulled in words? Um, pr-
I think you're very professional. You're one of the most professional queens I've ever met.
really?
Yeah, and you, not that you take the job seriously, but you do, and you do it to the best of your ability, and you're like, nothing's going to inhibit me doing the best performance of my life. And I think
Yeah.
that's such an amazing quality.
I just think of myself as being like dancing for me, and also with where I'm going with the whole career thing, I'm taking this diversion at the moment, which is so
Mm-hmm.
necessary. And we've spoken about it before, and just it's absolutely the right thing for me to be doing right now, and because it makes me so happy, and I'm so thankful and lucky for the friendship group that we've got now that I wouldn't change it for the world. But I I'm the type of person where it's like, okay, if I worked so hard to be a professional dancer
Mm-hmm.
that if I'm not going to be doing that solely anymore, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be working elsewhere, that needs just as much effort, commitment,
Yeah.
and time as I've put
Mm-hmm.
into everything I've done previously. I've had a good career and I've been
Mm-hmm.
very lucky with what I've been able to do, but I've worked my ass off to do it, so why would I
Yeah,
stop now?
totally.
You know? I
Totally. And
think
I
that's
think
where that
that's
mentality comes from.
really refreshing because I know I've seen it countless times where queens kind of get into nightlife, get into then performing, but the performances are they get blackout drunk and then they try to master their word their mouths
I
along.
don't drink at the
Yeah,
gig.
yeah.
And it's not saying you can't drink at the gig, and I'm not going to look down on you for drinking at the gig. I know
Oh
girls
no.
that drink at the gig, like, and are like, baby, for God's sake, she has a drink at the gig. Like, she's never drunk ever, but she has a drink at the gig, and she is unreal.
Yeah. I mean, I have stories of some of the old queens who've been on TV shows who
I'm
have
sure.
turned up to gigs blackout drunk and yet still managed to give the performances of the night. And I'm just like, you can't look me in the eye at the moment. How did you do that?
There was one time that I didn't, and I received videos back of myself, and I said, never again.
No, we're not
Because
doing
I
it.
did not look good, girl. Oh, God. I'm like, oh, she claims to be a dancer, but in fact, she can't put one foot in front of the other. Like,
I
no.
mean, it's a real talent being able to perform whenever you've had a couple of
It
drinks. It's a
is.
real talent.
It is. And, like, girl, for places like Heavenly Bodies at Freedom, it's an obstacle course in ways.
It is a real obstacle
You've got that
course.
backstage, then the stage that goes up to the first pole is on a rake. It's like raised going up a hill. Then you've got the pole itself and the pole
Hmm.
platform that has these little lips on the side of the pole, and
Yeah.
then the floor. So there's many things to trip on.
Loads of things to trip on, never mind the audience who get rowdy and then they want to be an obstacle course as well.
Right, you've got Susie in the middle of the floor, and she decides that I need to step over her in order to get to where I need to be.
Totally. Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't mind 7 men all on their hands and knees at different levels that I can walk up like some stairs. I'm
I think
into
we need
that.
to see that. Yeah,
And
I
I
think we need to
sit
see
on the
that.
last one at the end. Like, I think
Yeah,
that. Can you see it? I can see it. Maybe
I
I'll
can
organise
100%.
this for the next Heavenly Bodies.
Please, I think we need backup dancers for you.
I'm working on it. I'm working on
Oh,
it. It's just very difficult. I would love to have backing dancers because I feel that the performance that I have in my head that I try to produce is with dancers.
yeah.
Babe, I want the VMAs. I want the VMAs, but obviously, like somewhere like Freedom is very hard to do that, and it's also, I have to think about where I'm going to do it. But I can rest assured,
Yeah,
if I next year, because we're done with performing this year, if I next year am on any big stages, rest assured Miss Thing will have dancers behind her.
I need to see this happen.
Oh baby, I'm gonna give you the the full VMAs experience.
And I can't wait. I'll be there with my phone, giving the whole commentary,
You're in. Let's
the
do it.
production.
Let's do it. Now, I guess we can leave it on Nightlife there.
Yeah, I think.
I
I mean,
think
yeah.
we've covered so much, and it's really nice to hear a different perspective because as I say, I'm not experienced in it. I'm getting more experience because I'm on nights with the girls, and I think
Mhm.
when I move to London, when I finally bloody move to London, that
God, I can't believe it.
I mean, it's taken its bloody time, isn't it? That I'll be able to experience it a lot more because I'll actually be able to come out and not have to think about getting back to, you know,
Hmm.
the edges of Australia by the morning. But so I will get more used to it. But it's really nice to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah, and likewise, it's. I find it so fascinating.
What?
Like your way into drag, like getting to know more like former background drag artists. I find it so fascinating
Yeah, and do
because
you know
it's
what?
something new to me.
It took me so it goes into that like basic thing of what is drag because it took me so long to actually consider myself a drag queen
Oh yeah.
because it's like, who knows what makes a drag queen, but I was so long Lewis from Kinky Boots and not Page
Uh-huh.
3 that that I wanted to be Page 3, but no one would consider me that.
Yeah.
So, it's been an interesting journey to it where I can actually consider myself a working drag queen, which I do now.
Yeah. Oh, I was completely the same. I think it wasn't until I had done my first year of Dollar Baby that I then was like, oh, actually, I am. I know I can call myself a drag queen. Before I was always just like, yeah,
I
I
just
like
do
dress up a
this.
lot.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And, if,
I like costumes.
and an incredible drag queen you are.
Oh,
Seriously.
thanks.
No,
Likewise.
seriously. What I would love from you, if you want me to be completely honest,
Tell me.
is a little post on the Instagram.
Do you know what? You might get a little Christmas wish granted to you soon.
Really?
Yeah.
Lydie! Stop! I've never been more excited for something in my life. Because I do look back at your posts, and as I was just saying, and I was thinking, iconic,
Mhm.
completely realized visual experience for the person that's looking at them. Incredible engagement that you've got on your Instagram. And I just think to myself, girl, you got to give us something because I'm ready for it. I'm gagging for it, actually.
I could do a whole podcast on social media and drag,
I've
but
actually done I've actually done a podcast on social media.
I
Um,
need to get into those archives and listen.
you do, girl, but I would actually be more than happy to do a revisit. Social media in drag. Do you feel like it's
Yeah,
different?
I think, oh, 100%. Because I kind of started, as you know, in the nightlife scene and
Yeah.
also on Instagram at the same time doing drag.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
And it kind of got a bit too much for me at one point, and that's why there's like huge gaps in my feed because I just took like I took had to take 6 months off it and just be like I'm not posting on Instagram anymore because it was became so it kind of took away from why I started drag because it was
Right.
like I have to do this for Instagram so that these people know that I'm still doing it and that they're happy.
Right.
And I was hating what I was doing and
It's
just
like validity that you are there just
yeah.
because by doing a post. 150%. I felt that as well.
And it will be
And then your content that sometimes that you're actually then getting out is not very good.
yeah, oh 100%.
Because you're doing it for the sake of having an Instagram post or something to post rather than like even recently, obviously for booking gigs and things like that, Instagram is essential. It
Hmm.
is, because you can, it's how you get people to know you, and then they'll book you
Hmm.
from like how nice you look, or seeing performances of
Hmm.
you or whatever on Instagram. They're like, the looks that I've just done, the
Hmm.
one with the green eye literally yesterday, and then the
Hmm.
gold one the day before. Those, I actually spent time on my makeup, coming up with
Hmm.
something different. I haven't been able to do that in such a long time because I've been performing. But then I'm really happy with how they look because I spent time on them. Whereas before I was performing, I was pumping out every week just crap.
Yeah.
That I look back on now and I'm like, no, girl. Because I
I
didn't.
don't know what you mean.
I hope that's sarcasm. I think it is sarcasm. Actually, have you been on my gram and looked back and thought, fucking hell?
No, I've been on your gram and it's literally not a single post that I'm not floored by. You
Well,
look
I
phenomenal in all of
I
them.
have absolutely gone through um metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Baby, I've changed. My face has changed so much over the years as far as what I've done with my the eyebrows, girl. I used to literally look like Maleficent, and not the Angelina Jolie version. The cartoon version, I looked like the arches of. Anyway, you could get a train under those arches. Anyway, and now I just draw basically a straight line.
Listen, I've never seen a straight line look more beautiful in my life.
You are very kind, dear. You are very kind.
Such a gorgeous mug.
Well, I'm very sorry to say that we're just about to hit the hour.
Oh gosh.
I know, would you believe it goes so quick? Um, Thank you so much for coming on. It's been so nice to have a chat with you, and just nice to see your face. Guys, we've both been in isolation. How long have you been isolating for now?
Basically a week
A
since
week.
last Wednesday.
Right,
I
yeah, I
kind of
was
tucked myself
Tuesday.
away.
I think I'm 1 day ahead of you. Guys, the whole group except a couple have got COVID. Everyone's got COVID. Um, it's absolutely rife at the moment. But yeah, so it's really nice to see your face and actually speak to
Likewise.
somebody. And everyone that's listened, if you've got this far, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to share this with your friends. This is available on Spotify, Instagram, Amazon Podcast. It's everywhere, basically. And yeah, it's Didn't Ask with Page 3 now. So if you do have any ideas of topics you would like me to discuss on the podcast, or anyone that you'd want me to have on the podcast, do let me know. You can follow me on Instagram at Page3Drag, and you can follow Miss Lleddir here. Is your admin just Lleddir Werdner?
Yes, it
Do you
is.
want to spell that out?
Oh gosh, it is Lleddirwerdma.
Welcome to the spelling bee. Thank you so much.
Can I just say thank you so much for having me on this amazing podcast, and it's just been a dream.
Oh, it's been so lovely. Okay, guys, happy Christmas! Can you believe? Fucking hell, Christmas. And I'll speak to you all soon. I may not be doing weekly, I'll just be doing it when and where I feel it's going to give me a pick me up and give you a pick me up too. So, speak soon.
Amazing.
Bye!
Bye.
Bye. Didn't ask.